Hello folks, I'm Endymion for the Dork-at-Arms, etc. And today I've got a special fencing theory video for you. This being in response to Rob Child's false advance video that he recently put out. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can watch for yourself if you haven't already. And I want to say as a discounter, as a just little thing beforehand, I respect Rob Childs, and I recognize that he is a champion for a reason. I recognize that he is a respected teacher, and many people take him very seriously. I would say that I am one of those people. I take him pretty seriously as an opponent, a sparring partner, and a competitor. His video for the false advance is essentially to teach one very specific move of footwork, which he says is broadly applicable and seems to start from a wide measure. To be clear, what he's talking about is what seems to be start on guard and you shoot your front foot forward. Move my mic over there. But again, if I start with my left foot forward, that's just from on guard. I shoot my left foot forward. And this is largely used in the examples that he has recorded and he talks about, as he puts it, quote, to close distance enough with the opponent that I will be able to get the jump on him, or them, without actually triggering their defenses. It is a reach with the front foot as if advancing. So this would be kind of a pseudo lunge, or a, sorry, my hair's a little weird, is kind of just an increase. Hello, McKenna. An increase as in, rather than gathering the feet together, you are actually increasing the space between them, not necessarily in a lunge, but just moving this front foot. And that, all in all, seems quite good. And I'm going to say what I agree with regarding this to start. He says you can use it when moving to many targets, when you're doing dispositive actions like moving their sword, or if you are provoking with the body. So he has clips where he says, my sword is down low, so my opponent thinks I'm going to strike low. I shift my sword up so that they think I'm going to attack the face. This is a provocation of the body by abvexel, or changing off guards, changing off the position of the sword, rather than feinting, which is to deceive or to provoke by simulating an attack. He also says and demonstrates how to use this to stringer and strike the opponent in a particular example. I believe it's his second or third example. And he also talks about matching the hand level of his opponent. All of these I am in agreement with. The thing that I have a problem with is actually just not a matter of style, and it's not a matter of really opinion. It is what I'm hearing him say is difficult for me to interpret in good faith. That is to say, if I take him word for word, it seems like what he's saying is objectively wrong. Now, he keeps on emphasizing in his video about this footwork that you are effectively... McKenna, you're going to have to get out of the way. Sorry, sweetie. What he says is that you are increasing your reach, or he says you are gaining measure or closing distance. That is his exact phrasing, is you are closing distance by this increase. Now, here's the thing. If I am moving to the wall, I am going to, as a foilist or a rapierist, I'm going to extend, and let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I do my upright torso into a step lunge. I'm committing my legs, but I'm not necessarily leaning a whole lot. If I keep my body totally upright, I can't quite reach the wall. If I do a slight incline, I can just barely reach the wall with a fist. But if I keep my body upright, my fingertips can just barely make the wall. From the same on-guard position, if I do an increase, and I extend, and then I lunge, I've gotten to the same spot. What he has argued is that by doing this false advance, this increase step, or this half advance, that you are increasing your measure. And this is biomechanically not how a lunge works, or at least it's not how lunging in rapier works. Now, I will give Rob credit. He is not lunging necessarily in the exact way that the manuals or treatises like Capoferro tell you to. What he is not doing is, from his position, extending, inclining, and giving a fully committed lunge. And even without the incline, what he's not doing is keeping that back foot planted. You know, how I have been taught to lunge as a saberist and as a longswordsman, as a rapierist. The way that Rob does it is that he will extend, keep that body upright, and fly forward. This is, to me, it reads very foilist, it reads very épée, and it's that which gains you extra measure. That ability to have both feet leave the ground. Again, if I'm facing you, my normal lunge will look like this. If I'm doing the step lunge using my back leg as the anchor, the way that Rob does it, I'm going to take a step back so you can see a little bit more, is the way he does it is extends, flies forward, and he lets that back foot leave the ground. That absolutely will get you an extra couple inches. There's no doubt about it. You're basically jumping the lunge in that case. But that's not giving credit to the false advance. But he keeps on saying throughout his video that the false advance will close distance. And the thing is, if I do let's do it left foot so that I'm facing you guys. If I do my extension and a step, I am physically moving my body forward, but I'm not actually gaining any more measure. It is a progression of the point, but I've not gained anything that I could not gain with my normal lunge. Again, if I do this normal lunge with extension versus I increase and then I lunge, I'm still coming to the same measure. I'm still going, when I move from the false advance to the lunge, I am still moving to the same endpoint. I am still concluding at the same measure. So I will give him credit for what I'm seeing, which is there is a progression of the point, but there is not an increase in measure. But I think that this progression of the point is very useful. As he points out, it's very useful across many targets, and it's very useful across many situations. My brain, as he actually mentioned one other footwork, which is the balestra. In his case, he jumped and moved forward, but you can also balestra in place. The balestra is a little hop. It's meant, in classical fencing at least, to fake out an opponent by simulating the lunge. You do the balestra with an extension, and Rob did plenty of provoking and deception in the examples he gave. So I would argue that if you are not a black tiger, and if you have been taught to plant that back foot, as I have, I would say you can very easily adapt this, and that you can essentially use this false advance, or this increase or half advance, whatever term you want to use, you can use it to deceive by simulating the lunge, because you are making a progression of the point. You are making a progression of the point. If I extend, cool. I can also do a step lunge. But if I don't extend, and I just do a false advance, I'm not really extending my back leg. I have moved my torso forward, but I've not gained measure. Because again, as he says, the false advance is supposed to be followed by a step lunge or a no-tell lunge. Perfectly fine name for the step lunge. gets across everything that's great about it, all the virtues of it. But I'm not actually deepening my measure. I am progressing the point. And the progression of the point is almost essential for feinting actions. Now, again, Rob doesn't always do feints with this. In his video, he shows shifting the hand high and low in order to deceive by changing guards, or changing postures, or changing parries. He is changing off his position in order to fake out the opponent. Now, whether or not you agree with the idea that it's worth doing, or it's effective in deception, Rob makes it work. So obviously there is some virtue to it. I have gotten feints direct with the step lunge to work, and frankly, I think that this increased step, or this half advance, can and should be integrated into my own fencing. So, with all that said, I think this is Rob made a good video, as per usual. I just think there was a precision of language that may have implied something that biomechanically does not exist. Rob's a smart guy, but he is not a classically trained fencer, or at least he is not a certified classical fencing instructor, so that wording simply may not have come across it, or he just didn't care to use it. But his wording, to my ears, sounded like he was implying that the false advance deepens your measure, when what it actually does biomechanically is make the point progress. It increases the point and the body, and it is very, very deceptive because it makes your opponent think that you're lunging, or it simply preps you for a what's called an open eye feint. But again, Rob doesn't feint with it in this video. He uses changing off positions. So it is generally provoking, or it can be just a good preparatory action. So, with all that said, bit of personal news. I'm going to be at Wine Country Sword Crush in Rapier and Dagger, where I hope to integrate this. I've started integrating it into a little bit of sparring, probably too little too late. But I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm also tabling for the Sacramento Historical Fencing Academy. So if you're going to be at that tournament in Santa Rosa, California, Sword Crush 2024 is almost upon us. It's starting tomorrow and Sunday. I might sign on for one more Sunday event. Right now it's just Rapier and Dagger. But yeah, like this video if you like it. Leave comments and critiques down in the comment section. And thank you. I've been Endymion for the Dork-at-Arms, etc. Ciao, boyos.